fans, thanks for hanging with us. You're watching FanDuel Sportsbook's More Ways to Win. I am your host, Lisa Kerney, inviting you inside here to the FanDuel Sportsbook at the Meadowlands. Thanks for hanging with us. Happy holidays to you and your family. It's week 16. Teams are gearing up for the final few weeks of the season here. We've got some awesome matchups, and of course, we're here to bet them. Our NFL experts are breaking down the biggest games of the week, handing out their best bets. We're giving you our best value DFS plays as well. It is go time, so make sure you download the FanDuel Sportsbook app right now. Sign up for your new account. Plug in that promo code MOREWAYS1000. You're going to get your risk-free bet up to $1,000. All right, everybody, time to kick this thing off with the 8-6 Bills headed to New England to take on the 9-5 Patriots. This is going to be a fantastic game, a huge game for both teams here. First place in the AFC East up for grabs here in this week's Week 13 rematch. We just saw him. That was the game. Patriots quarterback Mac Jones threw the ball just 3 times, and New England still won. The total, the final there, 14-10. Bills are 0-5 in close games this year, including that Week 13 loss. And meanwhile, the Patriots' 7-game win streak ended last week with a loss at Indy. New England is a 2-point favorite in this matchup. Dave and Ed, got to get you guys in here because we got to bet it. Dave, who do you like here in this matchup?
I like the Patriots and what they have been doing at home. We know they've been good on the road. Of course, that streak came to an end last week. But at home, their last 3 games, Ed, they have outscored their opponents by over 100 points. They've just been tough to beat, and they've been winning by a ton. The problem with Buffalo for me is their inconsistency. They win by 25, they lose. They win by 28, they lose. They win by 15, they lose. They win by 18, they lose. They haven't won back-to-back games since weeks 4 and 5. So even though they kind of got back on track last week, I think they're going to get derailed again this week. I like New England.
And it's one of those things, too, where it's not necessarily schedule dependent. Losing to the Jaguars certainly had something to do with it. I know that a lot of people are concerned about the Patriots' loss and maybe all the luster went away, but let's look at that last game against the Colts and why you need to throw it away and look at all the other data for this one. The Patriots lost that game because of a red zone interception, a blocked punt. They went 1 for 3 on 4th down conversions, missed out on a 3rd and 1. Mac Jones threw a pick in that game as well. That involved a lot of volatility, a lot of random things that happened that prevented the Patriots from continuing this winning streak. Throw that game away, and New England has been the better team all season long. Now, I do like the over in this one. There are a lot of paths for that. Josh Allen could certainly have a good game, which means Mac Jones would be keeping up. Could see some back and forth there. It's a low total. I love the over a good bit more. But, Dave, I'm with you. I think the Patriots cover this one comfortably.
All right, you guys, so here we are. These two teams facing each other for the second time, as I mentioned, in a 3-game span. And Mac Jones coming off his worst game as a pro. Time for the right take, and for that, we bring in our NFL expert, Cole Wright, here joining us from Chicago. Cole, hey, you heard the guys' picks. Which team do you have winning this matchup, and by how many points?
Well, Lisa, it is the holiday season, so I'm going to agree with those guys. Now, of the 6 teams in the league with an 8-6 record, the Bills, well, they're the most likely to go out there and break your heart. Losses in 2 of the last 3, and their ability to beat winning teams, well, it's seriously in question. Now, back on December 6th, Mac Jones, as we know, he only completed 2 passes as Bill Belichick. Well, he moved the chess pieces once again. He was like a modern-day Bobby Fischer. But after the loss, Sean McDermott said, don't give Bill Belichick more credit than what credit is deserved. And, well, since then, he's backpedaled just a little bit. But for that reason and that reason alone and their inconsistency versus winning teams, I'm going to have to go with the Patriots in this one, 24-17. You got to give credit where credit's due.
Hey, I'll take that credit, too, because if you roll with the Patriots in this one and give those points, a winning $50 bet means you're going to collect more than $93. It's the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Remember to use that promo code MOREWAYS1000. All right, now to another matchup in the AFC with playoff implications here. I mentioned it. They are abound this week. The 7-6-1 Steelers at the 10-4 Kansas City Chiefs. And Kansas City became a hotspot this past week with 7 players testing positive for COVID-19, including Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill. Vaccinated players could still clear protocol and help this Chiefs team that's looking to win a league-best 8th game in a row. The defense has been the biggest difference here. Kansas City gave up 29 points per game their first 7, just 13.3 in their last 7, of course, all wins here. For the Steelers, they're coming off a 19-13 win over the Titans. Pittsburgh forced 4 turnovers in that one. This week, the Steelers are getting 7.5 at Arrowhead. Pony, got to get you in here. You're the sports radio voice there in Pittsburgh, so of course you know this team very well. You've taken us through everything with them throughout the season. Which side are you backing here?
And I can't help but notice you're wearing Chiefs red today, Lisa, so we know who you like in this matchup.
Noticed?
No. No, I'm going with the Steelers. You know, you mentioned the COVID situation for the Chiefs. I was talking to a friend in Kansas City who covers the Chiefs about Andy Reid. If a player doesn't practice during the week, they don't play. So they might be down to a third-string right tackle against T.J. Watt. You mentioned Kelsey and Hill. There's also a kicking situation there. No Harrison Butker, and the Steelers have the great Chris Boswell. It's just too many points. The lines come down, but not enough. I'm going to take Pittsburgh.
Well, the problem for the Steelers, Pony, you've noticed this over the last 5 weeks. They get out to such slow starts. They've been outscored in the first half by 72 points in those last 5 games. When they dig themselves that hole against the Chiefs, they're not coming back. Big Ben will quit at halftime because he's got one thing left to care about, and that's his final home game at Heinz Field next week against the Browns, because they're going to be squashed at halftime when they're down 30. I think the 7.5 is no problem here for the Chiefs.
I'm with you, Dave. I'll go ahead and tail that one. All right, let's go a bit deeper on these Steelers and Chiefs here. For that, of course, we dig in on next-gen stats to get an analytical perspective on this matchup. As we know, the NFL analyzes the location, speed, and acceleration of every player on every play and then creates these various data sets that we get to tap into. So, Ed, you're our analytics guy. This is your wheelhouse. Give us a next-gen stat that you're using to help pick this Pittsburgh-Kansas City game.
Well, Lisa, one of the reasons why the Chiefs have not looked like themselves for much of the season was the lack of production by Travis Kelce. All he did last week was put together his best outing of the season per his route chart. 10 catches for 191 yards, couple of scores. His total expected points added was 15.3, best for him in 2021 and second best of anyone in Week 15. KC won that game because of Kelce's elusiveness in overtime. He had 59 yards after catch over expected, number 1 in Week 15, and 55% of his 191 yards came after the catch. Not bad for a big, burly tight end. Certainly not a guarantee he will play against the Steelers, but if he does, Pittsburgh is not going to have an answer for him. Almost no one does. The line will be moving appropriately regardless. I have the Chiefs covering.
They are on a hot streak. Thank you, Ed. Next level info there from Next Gen Stats. Awesome stuff as always. If you want to tail Ed, you like Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, giving those points a winning $50 bet means you're going to collect more than $95. And a reminder, you can make your first bet on the app risk-free. Just sign up for a new FanDuel Sportsbook account using the promo code MOREWAYS1000. You will get a risk-free bet up to $1,000. Again, that promo code, it's right there on your screen all show long. It's MOREWAYS1000. Time now for our DFS download, stacking your roster to help you win cash. Yes, FanDuel's hooking up our fans with millions in prizes for free. We do it every single week. Just head to FanDuel.com and sign up for a weekly DFS contest. Get your friends, your fam, your coworkers, compete each week for free. Just sign up, set your roster, play, and win. Of course, our job here on More Ways to Win is to help you score as many points as possible. So senior writer and editor for Number Fire, Jim Sonis, is here with his best values for Week 16. Hey, Jim.
Thanks, Lisa. And yeah, Week 16 grades out well for value in DFS, starting off at running back with Devin Singletary and Ronald Jones. Singletary, $5,800 facing the Patriots. Really big role last week with a lot of snaps, a lot of carries, and a key for him, a lot of red zone work with 5 out of 10 carries inside the red zone for the Bills. $5,800, good enough in a tough matchup with the Patriots. Ronald Jones facing the Panthers. That's a key thing here because Jones could lose work to Keyshawn Vaughn if the Bucs were to fall behind. When they're facing the Panthers as big favorites, that's not as big of a concern concern. So Ronald Jones, an imperfect player for sure, but he's $5,400 on a very good team, likely an early down work in a game where they're expected to win big. So I think that Ronald Jones is viable despite the downsides. At wide receiver, I love T. Higgins, $6,500, similar workload to Jamar Chase when both these guys have been healthy so far this year, but Higgins checks in at $6,500 facing a banged up Baltimore secondary. That to me, way too low for a guy that good. So I think with the way things set up between Singletary, Jones, and Higgins, should have plenty on the board to jam in studs in week 16.
Great stuff by you, Jim. There you have it. Go to FanDuel.com. Sign up for free DFS competitions right now and each week of the NFL season. Hey, use Jim's info for a chance to win millions in prizes. Of course, follow him at Jim Sonis on Twitter and Insta. Hit up his podcast, the Heat Check Fantasy Podcast on Apple Podcasts. I love Jim. Love having him on the show. All right, back to our game previews now. In first place in the AFC North is on the line as Baltimore heads now to Cincinnati. Both teams sitting at 8-6. Big news for the Ravens is at the quarterback position. Tyler Huntley started last week because of Lamar Jackson's injured ankle. At the time of this taping, no decision had been made on the starter for this week's matchup. So we proceed and we look at the other side. The Bengals beat the Broncos last week and are trying to make the playoffs for the first time since the 2015 season. Cincy giving 3 points in this matchup. Pony, you follow the AFC North very closely. Give me your pick here.
Well, I love that line, Cole. You know why? Because Jim Harbaugh can miss another 2-point conversion and the Ravens can still cover based on the 3-point number. So I like that about this one. Look, the Bengals have not won the AFC North since 2015. And I think that's very relevant to this game because if Cincinnati wins, they're in the driver's seat. I think I got to see it to believe it. The Ravens, despite all their injuries at running back, the secondary, even if it is Huntley who impressed against the Packers, I think Baltimore can go to Cincinnati and win the game outright. I like him as a moneyline moneymaker.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Pony. This game is like the two Spider-Man gift pointing at each other because identical records, both of these teams sitting atop the division. Baltimore, they're 3-4 on the road, while Cincinnati, they're 3-4 at home. Now, 3 straight losses for Harbaugh and the Ravens with that sputtering offense. And meanwhile, Cincinnati, well, they dropped 2 of their last 3. So this game, it could be a case of the healthiest team wins. We'll see how things shake out come game time. But despite their recent struggles, the Ravens, they still possess that top 5 offense. So, Pony, I'm with you, man. I got to go Ravens here, 21-14. And maybe Ed's feeling the same way with that Maryland State tie-on.
All right, team. The FanDuel Sportsbook breakdown starts right now. We've got Washington 6-8 at the 10-4 Cowboys. An NFC showdown on Sunday Night Football. What a treat for all of us. Special shout out for our viewers in Virginia watching with us on NBC Sports Washington. Washington is dealing with a short week after losing in Philly on Tuesday. Quick turnaround here. This week's game is a Week 14 rematch. The football team lost that one 27-20 after falling behind 24-0. Washington getting 10.5 points here. Ed, which side are you backing in this one?
Well, I think it's interesting that we know pretty much for this season that Dak Prescott has not looked like himself. Certainly he got off to a really hot start, but Washington's defense is not facing the same type of quarterback that, they've been used to seeing over these last few years. However, it does matter in terms of home-road splits. Normally it doesn't when it comes to quarterbacks, but here I think it does. If you're talking about Dak Prescott, and I divided it on turf and not on turf, Dak Prescott's average GPA on turf is .192. That is a top 10 quarterback performance. But when it's not on turf, it's negative .064 per dropback. That is close to the bottom among all starters here. So when he's on turf, he does very well. When he's not on turf, it's pretty poor. The game's at home. I think the Cowboys cover.
And we still don't know who's going to clear that COVID list as far as the Washington quarterbacks go. When you look at the game previously a few weeks ago between Washington and Dallas, the score really doesn't indicate how Dallas dominated in that game. 27-20 was the final, but Dallas jumped out to a 24-0 halftime lead. They gave some of it away late. That's not happening in this game. I think the play would be to play the Cowboys in the first half, but I think they'll cover the game outright anyways, laying the 10.5.
And now to the bright lights on Monday night. The Dolphins are in New Orleans. Both teams sitting at 7-7 and on the playoff bubble here. New Orleans coming off that surprising shutout win in Tampa last week. The Dolphins have quietly won 6 in a row. That surprised me as well, looking back at that. The longest active winning streak of any team in the league, not named the Chiefs, of course. Saints are giving 3 in this matchup. Dave, 2 interesting teams here. Which one are you backing in this matchup?
I think this is an overreaction here on the line to beating the Bucs last week, and this is what happened earlier in the year when the Saints beat the Bucs. They were favored in the next game, and they lost against the Falcons. Yes, they did look very good beating Tom Brady and Tampa Bay, but they have dominated that team over the years, so that was not a surprise to me. I think Miami is the right side here. The Saints haven't been good on Monday night. The Dolphins have been great over their last 6 games, covering in 5 of those, and the Pro Football Focus offensive power ranking for the Saints, believe it or not, last in the league, 32nd. They are struggling here with Taysom Hill. I think the Dolphins defense is going to be way too good for the Saints to score enough points to win this game. Not only don't they cover, money line moneymaker, Pony.
Completely disagree, Dave. This
Good.
is actually one of my favorite bets of the year. It is not quite my lock of the year, which I hit, by the way. I like the Saints here, big time. Look at the Dolphins' 6-game winning streak. They're frauds. They've got 1 legitimate win. That was on a short week against the Ravens. Everybody else, Cupcake City, Christmas cookies.
Like the Saints.
The Jets twice, the Giants, the Panthers, the Texans. They have not beat a good team. They're not going into the Superdome. Take the Saints.
I love everything that just happened right there. Ed, got to get you back in here. You used Next Gen Stats to pick the Steelers-Chiefs game earlier in the show. Now I want you to give us 3 bets based on that next level data that you think are really good value right now on the FanDuel Sportsbook app for Week 16. What stands out to you?
Well, the bar was just set really, really high. No pressure on me, right, Lisa? Tough last few days it's been for the Bucs. Chris Godwin's out with a torn ACL. Leonard Fournette won't return for the regular season. Means Ronald Jones will be the bell cow running back. Looking at his carry chart in that shutout against the Saints, keep in mind he wasn't the starter, and Tampa Bay trailed for much of the game. But in his 8 carries, he still amassed 19 rushing yards over expected, one of the better numbers of the week, putting his offense in a better position 50% of the time and doing it running to the outside of the tackles, something that Fournette also does. It's that consistency that should keep the ground game effective, especially once Tampa Bay takes a lead on Carolina. I have the Bucs covering. Next, Detroit hammering Arizona was the big surprise of Week 15, and the reason for the shocker was Jared Goff exploiting an inconsistent Arizona defense. Here's his pass chart. Goff completed nearly everything that left his hand. His 5.9 completion percentage over expected was 2nd best for the week. You see few attempts beyond 10 air yards. In fact, his average depth of target was 8.3 yards. Quite consistent in terms of finding a weakness and exploiting it. Goff didn't take many chances, just 7.7% of his throws were into tight windows, and Goff withstood the blitz coming at him more than 1/3 of the time. I know it's just one game, but this Lions offense has improved to where they can cover a decently sized spread against the inconsistent Falcons. Finally, please stop criticizing the Chargers for going for it on 4th down so much. You are embarrassing yourself. One reason is Brandon Staley has faith in a second-year quarterback, and you should too. Justin Herbert's quarterback grid for the season. Yes, there are concerns with his intermediate throws from 10 to 20 air yards, but let's focus on his EPA when defenses do different things. When Herbert faces a single high safety, his pass EPA is 30. That's a good number. When it's a 2-safety shell, it's 31.7, also solid. When Herbert is facing 4 or 3 pass rushers, his EPA is an outstanding 54.9, but a 5th or 6th rusher, it plummets to 1.8. The blitz is where Herbert is weakest. The good news is this Texans defense does not generate much pressure when blitzing, so the matchup is advantageous for him to go off and cover a large spread.
He's a very, very good player with a very bright future. Awesome stuff, Ed. Take that information and use it to place your bets right now on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. You can place a wager on the bets that we just talked about, the ones Ed highlighted there, or hundreds of others. They're available right now on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. All right, team, time to focus on our betting markets with some game previews here. We're shouting out your local teams as we rip through more of the Week 16 slate. And here we go with our FanDuel Sportsbook Week 16 preview for the 4-10 New York Giants at the 7-7 Philadelphia Eagles. Guys, special shout out to our viewers watching with us on MSG and in Philly, watching on NBC Sports Philadelphia. Love having you with us, and happy holidays as well. As of this taping, the Giants had not announced whether Mike Glennon or Jake Fromm will get the start for Big Blue. And then for the Eagles, Philly beat Washington on Tuesday night. That means they'll have a short turnaround here for this Sunday's game. Jalen Hurts coming off a great game there, by the way. Dave Weaver, the Eagles jump right into Week 16 as 9.5-point home favorites.
Well, it was a season high as far as offensive production for the Eagles, 519 yards, a stark difference from what we saw when they played the Giants a few weeks back, and they lost that game 13-7. But in that game, you could tell Jalen was playing injured. He didn't look right. He missed the next week. Then they had a bye. He's healthy now, and I think he takes care of business here, covering big against the Giants.
And here we go with our FanDuel Sportsbook Week 16 preview for the Broncos now. Special shout out for our viewers watching with us on altitude in Colorado. Happy holidays to you all as well. Big division matchup for Denver as they travel to Las Vegas. Both teams sitting at 7-7. Drew Lock will be under center for the Broncos after Teddy Bridgewater suffered that concussion in last week's 15-10 loss against the Bengals. We're wishing Teddy well here from all of us at FanDuel. Ed Egros, the Broncos are giving 1 point as they now turn to this Week 16 matchup.
Well, if you thought Teddy Bridgewater didn't throw deep, Drew Lock really doesn't throw deep. If you look at his entire professional career, there are some major concerns for Lock, and really highlights why Teddy Bridgewater won the job in the first place. Negative EPA per dropback on intermediate and deep balls for Drew Lock. Passer rating of 67 when not under pressure. That's well below average. Negative EPA per dropback with or without play action. There are way too many concerns for Denver when Drew Lock is running the show. So to me, I think the Raiders win this outright.
And hey, spreading some holiday cheer for our viewers in Chicago watching on NBC Sports Chicago. We're breaking down the Bears Week 16 matchup. 4-10 Bears traveling to the Pacific Northwest to take on the 5-9 Seahawks here, guys. Glass half full for the Bears. They gave up just 61 passing yards, had 4 sacks in that loss to the Vikings last week. But you got to look at the other side, too. Glass half empty. They had 0 touchdowns in 4 red zone trips, scored just 9 total points. Cole Wright, you're in Chicago. What do you think about these Bears getting 6.5 at Seattle this week?
Well, Lisa, I'll tell you what, after that loss to Minnesota last week, the Bears right now, they're officially playing for nothing. And after seeing that 2nd and 18 run right up the middle, any hope for quality play calling? Well, it's just left the building. Sorry about that, Bears fans. I have to go with Seattle. I think Russ is able to cook in this one, and they win 27-20.
All right, New York, this one is for you. Our FanDuel Sportsbook Week 16 breakdown for your Jets. And shout out to all of you watching with us on MSG. Love having you with us, and happy holidays to you all. Big news for Gang Green, who fell to 3-11 after last week's loss to the Dolphins. You hear head coach Robert Saleh testing positive for COVID-19. So tight ends coach Ron Middleton steps in as interim until Saleh is back. This week, the Jets host the 2-12 Jaguars, and Andrew Filipponi, the Jets are 1-point underdogs here in this matchup. What do you make of this one?
Well, I got good news for Jets fans who are angling for the top pick in the draft. They're rooting for the Jets to lose in this game, and I think they will. I like Jacksonville to win and cover, obviously. The COVID issues for the Jets go beyond Saleh. They could be down as many as 7 starters on defense. And for the most part, it's been the worst defense in the entire NFL. So in this matchup of first-year quarterbacks, I think Trevor Lawrence comes out on top. Take the Jags.
And the Jets will be right here at the Meadowlands on Sunday, just across the parking lot from where I'm standing right now in the FanDuel Sportsbook here at the Meadowlands. Yes, so this is your personal invitation to join us here at the FanDuel Sportsbook at the Meadowlands as we give you a tour inside. Check it out. We've got 2 levels of bars and food service, dozens of massive screens playing all the games that you can bet and watch your favorite teams and players right here with us. Free round-trip shuttle service from Lot G on game days, and if you don't have a parking pass, that's all good too. Just head to Red's Restaurant in Carlstadt, New Jersey, catch the $10 shuttle to MetLife, and then catch your free round-trip ride. The FanDuel Sportsbook at the Meadowlands. Grab your friends and family and get here for an awesome time this Sunday or any day of the week. Remember, FanDuel Sportsbook here at the Meadowlands open 7 days a week. In addition to betting at the Sportsbook, of course, you can also place bets on your FanDuel Sportsbook app right now and get your risk-free bet, your first bet risk-free, up to $1,000. All you got to do is sign up for a FanDuel Sportsbook account. New users get that risk-free bet up to $1,000 just by using the promo code MOREWAYS1000. And of course, on our show, our experts coming in hot, giving their risk-free bet of the week. Dave Weaver, you parlayed 3 money line picks last week, so I got to give you a shout out. Fist bump the Steelers, Niners, Packers, hit them all. Anyone that tailed you with their $1,000 risk-free bet collected almost $3,700 on that bet. Golf clap for you, Dave. That's right. Kick us off with your $1,000 risk-free bet for Week 16. What you got?
I'm going to do the same thing. 3 teams just to win, but 2 of them this week are underdogs. So this is going to juice it up to get me back $6,700. I think the Ravens win. I think the Dolphins win, and the Chiefs are the easiest part of that 3-teamer.
The reindeer on my ties telling me to go with an alternate total in the Jets-Jaguars game. Here's the deal with this. There are 2 ways this could happen. One, both pass defenses are pretty brutal, and so both quarterbacks may shine. We could also see defensive touchdowns if you don't trust either quarterback. Either way, I think we're going to see a lot more points than expected. My number is over 47.5. That's plus 200 for a payout. Pony, you can do the math as far as that kind of payout.
Well, I'm channeling my inner Cole right here and going with 2 underdog money line winners. Parlay those 2. I know he's had so much success, Lisa. I'm going to take the Ravens to win in Cincinnati, the Bills to win in Foxborough. If those 2 dogs hit, you get a great payout.
I'm telling you, he has crushed those money lane moneymakers this season. Great stuff by you guys. Gamblers, make sure to sign up for a FanDuel Sportsbook account right now to place your bet. And remember, use the promo code MOREWAYS1000 to get your risk-free bet up to $1,000. It's easy, it's legal, it is live. You just take your winnings if you hit, and then, hey, get your money back in site credit. If you don't, you get to do it all over again. All right, guys, let's move on here. We've hit some spread and total bets on this show, but there are a bunch of other fun bets on the FanDuel Sportsbook app right now that feature a very wide variety of wagers that you can make. So, guys, let's focus on some of those right now. I'll give you the bet. You give me your quick pick here. Dave, you're up first. And this is a fun one. Which game will be the highest scoring game on Sunday?
Yeah, I think when you look at the Ravens and the Bengals, the last time they played, they scored 58 points, but a lot of those points were put up by the Bengals. I think this is a huge revenge game for Baltimore, and they're going to go off. I do believe Lamar Jackson is going to play and have a big game, by the way.
All right, Pony, you're in an AFC North market there. That's the tightest race. So which team will win the division this year?
Well, I think once the Ravens beat the Bengals on Sunday, they will leapfrog the field and be the favorite. So there's value in betting them right now to win the division.
All right, Ed, coming back to LA there. You are our analytics guy. So I had to give you the most unique bet involving numbers here, of course. Total points scored for all of the Sunday games. You've got an over-under 529.5 points.
Yeah, there's a little bit of math involved that one, Lisa. Thanks a lot. No, in all seriousness, if you look at average totals of games by week, and you look at that since the 1999 season, Week 16 is when you see a bit of a dip. I don't know if the market accounts for that. I'm going under.
All right, Cole, you're in Chicago. Over or under 5.5 wins this year for the Bears?
Well, I don't need to do the math like Ed does, but I have them falling to Seattle this week, of course, and then it's just the Giants and Minnesota to round things out. I haven't beaten Big Blue, but after that, I think it's pretty much on to 2022, so no dice.
All right. All right, weekly specials, guys, season specials, win totals. Those are just a few of the really fun types of bets that you can make on the FanDuel Sportsbook app right now. Again, download the app, log on, check them out for yourself. Just keep scrolling. Be sure to plug in that promo code MOREWAYS1000 to get that risk-free bet up to $1,000. And finally, ho, 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 from our very own Santa Barkley. himself. Welcome to the FanDuel Casino app at the most wonderful time of the year. Check it out. NBA legend Charles Barkley is helping FanDuel give away 7 days of surprise gifts for customers totaling over $7 million, and it's going on right now until December 27th. So be sure to opt in on the FanDuel Casino app, Sportsbook or DFS to be eligible to win. And there's more. All FanDuel Casino users can play risk-free up to $25 each day until December 27th. Just wager $100 or more in a single day and every day through Monday. Enjoy slots, table games, live dealer, and more risk-free when you opt in. The FanDuel Casino app is a secure online casino that has the best online gaming action, giving the players the most innovative online gaming experience. You have to check it out for yourself. And of course, the best promotions like Santa Barkley and risk-free bonus play up to $25 going on now through December 27th. Don't miss out. FanDuel Casino is available for players 21 or older in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and West Virginia. All right, I think that'll do it. From Santa Barkley and all of us here at FanDuel, the #1 mobile gaming operator in America. We did the dang thing today, guys. From game picks to best bets, futures, DFS, we covered it all. Week 16 is here. You can bet it right now. Again, head to the FanDuel Sportsbook app, plug in that promo code MOREWAYS1000. You're going to get that risk-free bet up to $1,000. From all of us here at FanDuel, happy holidays. We'll see you next week.